I had made a mess of my life. At that point, I said, I don't know where where we're going, um, but anywhere's better than here. If I go back up there, I don't have anything, nothing, not even I don't even have myself anymore, and I'm going to prison. Like my kids are better off. I've made a mess of my life, and I didn't see any way of fixing it. I didn't think I'd ever have the motivation or the want to fix it, or if I even could. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I don't have anything left up here. And let me clarify that this voice that I'm hearing in my ear, of course, I think it's God. You know, um, it doesn't dawn on me that I'm dying yet, but of course, I think this is God, somebody offering, me to go somewhere other than where I'm at right now. Like, it has to be God, right? Um, so and this part I don't quite understand myself because I know it's different for everybody who's had a near-death experience, I guess. But then she started saying, breathe, Tara, breathe. And at that moment, I realized that I was given the choice right then. Either I could breathe or I could let go. Yes, I was given the choice. Like, so in a way, I chose to die, um, to continue dying, whatever you want to call it. Um, and I chose to let go. And so I said, okay. I just said, okay, okay. And the moment that I made that decision in my mind, the scene above me just got further and further and further and further away. Um, like I was drifting down. I wasn't floating around the top of the room. I wasn't looking down at my body from a different perspective. I was falling like deeper into myself. And when I got to where I could hardly see the scene above me anymore and them all standing up, I watched the lieutenant stand up, take her black gloves off, roll them up into a ball, and shake her head and say she's gone. And yeah, so that was the initial dying part, or letting go, as I call it. In the next moment, uh, and the reason that I've been reluctant on sharing my experience is because um, it's so much different than a lot that I had heard that other people experience. And I didn't quite know what to make of that, but I guess, it's not a one size fits all. Um, so
Well,
in the
your
very next,
experience is unique. I mean, he's healing you from the inside out. I mean,
mm,
there's a deep cleansing the Holy Spirit there. But I didn't. Sorry for interrupting there, but I think
you're
yes, your
good.
your experience is unique for a reason.
So in the very next moment, I'm back in the cell, and not only am I back in the cell, um, everything that had just happened to me, the the resuscitation, the voice, the choosing to let go, I had no memory of this. It was like a page that was ripped from a book. None of that ever happened. So, in my mind, what I'm experiencing right now is I have just come in the cell from coming back from the hospital. Um, that is why, I mean, for a very, very long time into my experience, I had no idea that I had actually died. Not a clue. It was so seamless because for one, the act of me dying and the resuscitation were taken from me at the time. Like, so it was literally seamless. So I'm gonna stop right there and say real quick, if you have loved ones who you think suffered, or if you have been burdened with grief knowing that you lost someone tragically. I mean, I can't speak for everything. I don't have answers for everything, but I can speak from my experience and what happened to me. The transition was so incredibly seamless to the point that I didn't even know that I had died. I had no knowledge of me actually dying. I felt no pain. I felt no word, nothing. So just rest assured in that, I guess. So in the very next moment, I'm right back in the cell. And the only thing that is different is that I noticed that physically I feel awesome. Like I said, what did they do to me at that hospital? Because I feel great. And then time would just pass. And nobody would listen to me. I would cry out from the cell, normal, jail things. Can I make a phone call? Can I take a shower? When can I go back? Like, I'm thinking, not knowing that I'm gone at this point. And instead of helping me, these guards would either ignore me or taunt me. And I mean, like, hateful, taunt me like the door was the only thing keeping them from getting to me. And then I just ignored, just really just voiceless for literally what felt like an absolute eternity. Then I remember I was down on the floor and I felt like I couldn't get off this floor, like I was chained to it. I couldn't move. And I just kept screaming out, you can't do this to me. Because I knew that time was passing. Time was passing because I would notice my nail polish was going away. Like time had passed. I noticed that, leg hairs were growing and I was getting filthy and just, I hadn't eaten. Like I knew that all this time was passing, but nobody would notice me. And I cried out and cried out and cried out and nobody. It was like they just left me there. And I'm thinking in my mind, and I'm yelling out, this is 2021. You can't do this to me. Like, I have rights. Like, I'm thinking I'm still physically in this jail, just being mistreated. And this went on for a very, very, very long time. 40, I know this is going to sound crazy. 40 years to be exact. And I'll tell you how I know it was 40 in a little bit. But finally, literally 40 years had passed. And a man comes into the room and like a man, like a shadow of a man. And it's the same voice. It's the same voice that was in my ear when I had let go. And it was in that moment I remember letting go. And I hear it's this man's voice. And 40 years had passed at this point. My hair was matted. I had this stench coming through my body that is indescribable. It smelled like sulfur and just rot. And it was just coming all through me. My hair was matted. I couldn't even breathe out of my nose because there was so much dirt in it. Like my nails were just long and curled up. Looked like somebody who had been laid on a chain to a floor for 40 years. Like, it was bad. Well, this man came in, told me that his name was Sam, and it was the same voice that told me to let go in the first place. And I said, I don't know what's going on. But if you hate me so much, if you hate me this much to do this to me, just kill me, please. I began to beg, not for my life, but for my death. That's how bad it was. And he knelt down beside me and he said, "I can't kill you." "Why?" And I began to beg more. So I can't tell. Right. So I can't kill you because I've already taken your soul. This is it. This is the end of the road for you. Like, this is it. And the amount of hopelessness and sorrow and despair and regret, like, I don't think anyone could ever describe the feeling of thinking that you are in a form of hell and that you're not going anywhere. Like, there is, like, infinity is infinity is infinity, like everlasting, like no end, no death, no end. The feeling was, I, that's why I swallow my shyness. I don't care what anybody thinks about me, and I go to great lengths to try to lead people to Christ, because I felt that. And the thought of other people feeling that and not coming out of it, it literally keeps me awake at night. Okay. So after this, he leaves. I'm thinking I'm still in the cell, and I'm not going nowhere. And throughout this whole 40 years, this is something that I can't quite explain either. My sister, when I was telling her the experience for the first time, "Why didn't you just pray?" And I was like, "Gosh, I never thought about that." I couldn't pray. I was in wherever I was, which I truly believe was some form of hell. And I'll tell you why. Because where I was in that cell for all that time, there was no such thing as God. I was in a complete separation from God. I could pray to who? And there was no God where I was. Have hope for what? Hope comes from God. Like, I couldn't pray. But after he left that time, I felt something. And I felt something that I hadn't felt in that all those years that I had been chained to that floor. And it was hope. And it was hope. And I began to pray. I stuck on that floor. I began to pray and pray and pray and just cry out to God. And in the next, in the next moment, and when I say in the next moment or like something else, I kept going to all these different places, but it wasn't like I was traveling there. It was like I'm in the cell, and then in the next moment, I'm somewhere else. Like, I'm not traveling anywhere. I'm just going. Well, in the next minute, I'm in a church house, like a small, like, chapel church. Only it's dark, it's smelly. I still smell bad. And my sister's there. My sister, who is still alive on earth. She was an addict as well. She struggled with darkness as well, and she had actually gotten saved about 2 years before my experience. And she prayed for me a lot, and I feel like that's why she was there. I don't know. But my sister was there, and I'm in this church, and there are black shadows of spirits just circling and circling this church house. As fast as they can, and they're just getting bigger and bigger, just black shadows of all different, shapes and sizes. And my sister looks at me and she goes, where have you been? And I tried to tell her, someone, I've been chained to a floor for 40 years. And she looked around and she said, what is going on? I said, they want my soul. They want my soul, Linda, and I don't know what to do. Like, they want my soul. They want me, and they're getting angry. And then a girl that I had grown up in church with named Tana, she's there in this church house then. And we're actually all, we're sitting in a circle holding hands, and my sister began to pray, and these demons got closer and closer. I mean, they were angry, and we're all holding hands in a circle, and they're running straight through my body, like these black shadows just right through my body, but not them. And I said, why are they going through me and not y'all? What did I do? Why aren't they messing with y'all? And I was petrified. And while my sister seemed worried, she didn't seem afraid. So she said, hold on. So her and the other girl sat there and held hands and started to pray. And again, these unclean spirits, or whatever you want to call them, began running in circles straight through me. And every time they would run through me, I would move back a little bit, like they were strong. And her and Tana held hands. And when they held hands, nothing, like these things, when they would come near them and their arms with their hands held, they smacked like it was concrete. Like they didn't stand a chance. Nothing could get through them. And I'm looking and trying to figure out what's going on. I said, why are they running through me and not y'all? How come when y'all hold hands, they can't touch you? And my sister looked me in the eyes and she said, because we have the blood of Christ in us, Tara. And we have the blood of Christ in us and nothing can get to us. She said, you have to give your life to Christ or it's going to be too late. She said, if you don't give your life to Christ, this is it. And they are going to take you. There's no coming back from that she's, there's no time. There's no time to make a choice. There's no time to think it over. There's no second chance if this don't work out. Like, now is the time. You have to give your life to Christ now. And sorry, it wasn't somewhere in the midst of this. There's an arm that comes towards me with a rag in his hand. I can't see what it's attached to, but I just see the hand and it's coming towards me. And at this moment, I'm in a pew, like laying with my legs out on the pew, and there's an arm coming towards me down there. And having, been through what I've been through in my life sexually, I leave it to me. I started to smack this arm away. What are you doing? What is going on? Who is this? I didn't see anything other than the arm. And the rag slipped off of, he started going towards me, my lady part with this rag, and the rag had slipped and I saw a hole. Sorry. I saw a hole or a mark in the hand and I said, oh my God, this is Jesus. So this is Jesus. What does he want with me? And so he held the rag to me down there. And it began to fill up with like a black substance. And as it began to fill up, I could just feel just filth come out of me from the top of my head. Just down my whole body, just filth come out of me. And I just began to feel clean. Not like shower clean. I mean like white as snow, just clean, pure. Like I'd never done anything nasty in my life. And and as this stuff was coming onto this rag, the smell that had been on me for all these years, this god awful smell, it began to go away. And and as he was doing this is, like just between, me and him, and it's not like a everything, everything that I had done, that I had sinned against my own body with since literally the age of 6. And I mean, that was my oldest, drugs aside, uh, being a crappy person aside, being a crappy mother aside, like all these things didn't hold a candle to the sexual sin that ran my life for so long. And as he's holding it down there, I began to just not relive, but just remember all of it. Just like that, though. And I mean, every single, like flipping through a book of memories. And I became so ashamed that I just wanted to just run out of wherever I was and just hide and cower. And I couldn't do anything, sit there and own it. And then I felt him, and what I felt from him, it wasn't judgment, it wasn't condemnation, it wasn't, oh, shame on you, let me punish you for all these things. It was almost like pity, like compassion, like, look what she's done to herself, look what she allowed herself to do and to go through. It was he looked at me like I was the victim. He made me feel like I was the victim in this, and really, they were my choices, but it was compassion that he showed me. And so that moment's gone, the arm's gone, and I feel clean now. The smell is gone, and demons or shadows, spirits, whatever they are, they're still there, and they are getting stronger and stronger, to the point where my hair was standing out on ends, and I'm back to holding Tana and my sister's hands. And I said, Linda, it's just us. What are we gonna do? Like, how am I supposed to beat this? How am I supposed to, get away from this? It's only us three. And it was at that moment that, my sister looked behind her, and I looked back, and in these pews, you could just see spirits, just full of spirits of people praying. And just sitting there bowed with their heads praying. So when I tell you that the power of prayer is real, even in situations you might not even be knowing what you're praying for, but you could be helping someone that was experiencing what I was in that moment. Prayer is powerful.
So when you were saying these prayers in the pews, church pews, do you think those were people's? When you say spirits, those were the spirits of people praying for you?
I mean, maybe not for me, because I don't know who would have been praying for me at that moment, and nothing registered. Like, I didn't recognize anybody. I didn't even see faces. I just saw, just tops of heads and foreheads, just praying, just praying. And I don't know, that moment really touched me. So, like, all the times where I'm like, Lord, I pray for everybody lost, and I think that my prayers aren't being answered, that my prayers aren't being heard. Like, there's a whole spiritual realm that is very, very real. And I always have to keep reminding myself of that, that even if they're not, answered the way you want, or if you don't see the outcome, prayers are powerful. But
Well, I have been awoken sometimes, and others have said the same, and I don't even know who I'm praying for. That doesn't have to be somebody that knows us. I mean, sometimes in the middle of the night, the Lord has woken me and said, okay, pray for this person. I have no idea for whom I'm praying, but I'm praying for that person, and God knows. So you are there still in this moment, in this spiritual space. The demonic is still there circling you. You've been cleansed by Jesus. He's cleansed you of
yes,
all of
sir.
this. And but you still have the demonic influence, and you're still now uh, probably clinically dead. So what's happening? You see these people praying for you
Um,
in these pews.
so in the next moment, or next, um, so they're getting stronger and bigger and closer to the point where I'm barely holding on to their hands. It's just my hands and theirs. I'm getting, pulled away. And my sister again, she looks at me and she said, Tara, there's no time. You have to make that choice now. And I think in this part of my experience, it's a prime example about how um how powerful not only God is, but how powerful sin is. Um, I knew that when I made that choice to give my life to Christ in that moment, um, a literal life and death moment, and I still had trouble. I was seeing the spiritual realm. I had just had been touched by the hand of Jesus, and I was still hanging on to my sin because it's all I had ever known. I had never known um, a righteous life. I'd never known a decent life. I had never been a decent person. Um, and I didn't want to let go even in that moment. And my sister said, you have to make that choice. You have to give your life to Christ now. And I mean, this was a very like high stress situation. This is like a conversation. This is something's about to happen if you don't one way or the other. And so I just said, okay, like jumping in cold water. I said, okay, I'll do it. And in that moment, everything else disappeared. And it was just me and this, I don't even want to call it a light because it's so much more than that. It's someone, it was love. I mean, people say love and, oh, it's just this overwhelming love, which it is. But I think as people who haven't had a near death experience, um, or haven't felt the intense love of God, which, is overwhelming when you're out of your body. When we say, oh, it was this overwhelming love, we as humans, we have kind of put a bad name to love, especially people that have been abused, especially people that have been deprived of love or have a wrong idea of what love is. So I don't think that's a great explanation for what I was experiencing in this moment. But I was up. I wasn't, sitting down anymore in this church. I wasn't I think I was in this church anymore. I was just in this beautiful presence. And the best way I don't see anything else but almost like a like a soft rainbow, like the brightest one you've ever seen, bright as the sun, but soft to your eyes. And I felt like I had been there before. Wherever I was, I felt like I had been there before. I didn't feel like this was something that I was experiencing for the first time. I felt like, oh yeah, I remember this. This is home. This is what it's all about. it's not about, and it made everything here seem like a dream.